Right. Yeah, fire away.
Yeah, I'm Don Carlson. I'm a former member of the Greenfield School Board, current classroom volunteer, and also a member of the Education Foundation. And there were two main goals when, and I'd just like to get some of your comments. I had two main goals when I wanted to get on the school board, and I was also a former alderman. One is certainly is to provide quality educational opportunities for our students. But secondly was to be a good steward of the taxpayers' hard-earned money. And I don't think we can lose sight of that especially taxpayers only have so much to, that they can pay. I know the last several years, people have been on fixed incomes. There have been very small or no increases in Social Security. I retired a few years ago, but the last few years I've worked, didn't receive a raise. I think the last 3 years I worked fewer hours. So it's not mutually exclusive. I think you can both look out for the taxpayers, but also provide a quality education for the kids.
Yeah, I agree. I just would make one comment on that. There's always a balance. There's some things as a community, as a society, we have to invest in if we're going to have prosperity going forward. There's things you just need, right? You wouldn't want to say, well, we need to save taxpayer dollars, so we're not going to have a sewage system, right? You wouldn't say we need to save taxpayer dollars, so we're not going to educate our kids. We really need to make the investments that give us future prosperity so that people can earn a living and there's people that actually pay tax dollars, and that's where the balance is. And what I'm really worried about is these days they're going way past the balance point and they're cutting things that are really important for the future of our state. And specifically by cutting universities and K-12 schools, they're reducing and eliminating opportunity for a lot of kids in a way that's going to harm us in the long haul in terms of the dollars in our pockets.
I just want to say that the community owns our schools. The taxpayers own our schools. And it is unacceptable that school boards don't step up more and ask the taxpayers to do something about their schools. I think that's where it breaks down. Because at the local level, as bad as the state is, we can do something about that. If your school boards would step up and say, this is what our kids need. It's not like the school board's telling the community what to do. We're just saying, this is what our kids need. Now what do you want? And if they don't pass this one, then let's keep talking. But it's unacceptable that our communities, we're totally looking out for the taxpayer every time we go to a school board meeting and vote. Because we're doing their work. We're doing your work.
I'd just like to comment sort of in a different vein on that one. I understand that folks are living on a fixed income and it's difficult, and the constant referendums really make it tough for small communities to have an honest and open conversation about education. I mean, where I come from, this year there's a referendum to build a new fire station and a referendum to keep the public school operating. That puts neighbors against neighbors. You know, it makes them make a choice that nobody wants to have to make it. And not only that, you know, I don't want to put mom and dad in a situation where they have to vote for something for their kid when they really are struggling paycheck to paycheck, and you know, an increase on their property taxes could be a big deal to them. That's a tough decision that you have to, you know, make as a parent. So that being said, I want to go back to, you know, my conversation. It's not that there's no new revenue in the state. I mean, they are spending money. We're talking about $127 million in a cut this year when they spent $2 billion new dollars last budget. So when you talk about education and funding, you know, it's been held flat. Expenses continue to rise. You hear time and time again the districts have used the tools, but they still need more help. And you have to, some people look at it as spending, and I look at education as an investment. So I think that's, you know, we as stewards of tax dollars, you have to keep the line on responsible spending, and you know, referendums are a way to do it, but the state's commitment is really, I think, where it's falling short, and it's forcing local communities to make some really tough decisions, and families as well, and I don't know if that's fair.